The New York Knicks are yet again interested in another big name player, this time actually being Russell Westbrook. It's currently being reported that the New York Knicks are interested in trading for Russell Westbrook, and that's being reported by Kevin O'Connor. What's going on, everyone, and welcome back to the channel. Today I've got some more NBA news to talk about with you guys. And again, today Russell Westbrook's kind of been all in the news very recently with many different teams such as the Golden State Warriors, Orlando Magic, etc. actually being interested in trading for him. Now we've got more news that the New York Knicks are another team that could potentially trade for him. We've heard, previously that they could be very interested in him, and we've also heard that they are going to be very interested in potentially trying to trade for Chris Paul. Now, if I was the New York Knicks and I had the option of trading for either Russell Westbrook or Chris Paul, in my opinion, I would definitely go out and try and trade for Chris Paul. Look, I'm not too sure who's better out of Westbrook and Chris Paul. A lot of people are going to have their different opinions on it, but after the playoffs, I can definitely, safely say that in my opinion, I definitely believe Chris Paul is a lot better of a player than what Russell Westbrook is. I mean, Westbrook would have never, I don't believe, would have been able to lead that OKC team to a 7th game series as what Chris Paul did. Chris Paul was traded to the team. They were expected to be a bottom 3 team in the West, and he ended up taking them to the playoffs where they took Russell Westbrook's team, the Houston Rockets, to a 7 games in the first round. Again, where was Russell Westbrook in that series? He was absolutely nowhere to be found. He was making so many turnovers. He was so bad, so inconsistent. He wasn't even a top 3 player for the Houston Rockets against OKC at all. And I just believe that is so many alarm bells to say that. Again, I just don't really rate Russell Westbrook really too much at all. I just don't really know how good Russell Westbrook really is anymore as a player. He relies so much on his, athleticism. He's not a great shooter. He's a good mid-range shooter, and he's good on the layups, but he's one of the most inconsistent three-point shooters possibly out there, and considering he's getting a lot older, he definitely does rely on his athleticism a lot, especially when he's playmaking, and again, just the way he plays. He's mostly known for his dunks. He can definitely do mid-ranges by catching his opponent off guard. Again, using his athleticism to most likely do that. And again, when the NBA has focused so much in today's game as being three-point shooting very heavily based, Russell Westbrook just doesn't really fit in too much now at all, really, in today's NBA. I mean, kind of to say how it is, Russell Westbrook plays, well, I'm going to say Ben Simmons. Ben Simmons plays a lot like Russell Westbrook did. But again, Ben Simmons is just so much taller, so that's why I believe if Ben Simmons can get off the injuries, he could definitely have a very good, time in his career because he's so versatile. He can guard all positions, and that's where, Russell Westbrook kind of comes into it where he's a very good playmaker, and he's very good on most things except shooting, but he's going to regress as he gets older. He, again, I don't necessarily know how his defense is really going to. I mean, on his last season with OKC, they definitely tried him a lot playing, guarding the small forward position. I mean, sometimes on the court, they would have Raymond Felton at point guard, Dennis Schroeder at shooting guard, and Russell Westbrook at small forward, and he could definitely guard the small forward position, not greatly, but again, he did it enough where you could say it was pretty versatile to be able to put him in that position. But again, that was a couple of years ago, and I just don't know if he would be able to do that now. Again, I believe he is 31. He'll be going on to 32. And I believe that this season, he was okay in the regular season, but definitely this was one of the worst playoffs that I've ever seen him in. And I just don't really know how I rate him at all. Again, I've talked a lot of negatives on him, but there are a lot of goods to him. I just feel like Chris Paul would make so much more sense for the New York Knicks for them to potentially go after. He is great, obviously rebuilding teams and again developing younger players and getting these teams to the playoffs. We've obviously seen what he can do with the Oklahoma City Thunder. Yes, he is old, but he doesn't rely on athleticism. I could still see Chris Paul being good for a couple more years just based on the fact that he doesn't rely on athleticism to be a, elite player for his age. He is a great shooter, he is a great playmaker, and he's still a great defender even at his age, and he's found ways to adapt to today's NBA. And again, if he stays off these injuries, I could definitely see him being a very good player for a couple more years. not just that, I don't know how Russell Westbrook would go at developing a young core like the New York Knicks and, again, kind of taking that team to the playoffs. I guess we've never really seen Russell Westbrook kind of put in that situation to maybe see how the experiment goes, and I still feel like he's a little bit young to be called, you know, one of those extreme veteran players like a Chris Paul who's 35 that could help develop a team. He's going to be a player that's going to want to, you know, be a number one or second star on the team, and that's why the Clippers have been so interested in him, you know, to kind of bring him in, as they desperately need a point guard, and he would be the second star behind Kawhi Leonard. But the thing is, that wouldn't worry him at all because he would be the main ball handler. While if he was going to be on the New York Knicks, yes, he'd be the number one star, but I don't necessarily know how many players are going to want to play with Russell Westbrook compared to Chris Paul. We've heard that DeMar DeRozan, Carmelo Anthony, Danilo Gallinari, and Victor Oladipo would all be interested in playing with Chris Paul on the New York Knicks. Some even believe that if Chris Paul does get traded to the Knicks, that Carmelo Anthony and Gallinari and DeMar DeRozan could be locks to 100% follow him. But when it looks at Russell Westbrook, I don't necessarily know how many players are going to want to play with him. Carmelo's not going to leave to go play for Russell Westbrook. You know, Danilo Gallinari, I don't feel like will go and want to play with Russell Westbrook. DeMar might, but again, I'm not exactly too sure on that one at all. I just don't necessarily know how a Russell Westbrook to New York would kind of really work. Like, I mean, Westbrook is, if he's not happy with his situation at Houston, he's not going to be happy going to the Knicks. Yes, the Knicks are about a 20-win team now, or maybe, you know, 15 to 20-win team. Getting Westbrook could definitely bring them up to about a 30-win team. But again, Westbrook's not going to be happy for playing on a 30-win team. He's going to want the Knicks to go trade for these players. And some of these players aren't going to want to go to the Knicks. And some of these players aren't going to want to sign for the New York Knicks, especially to play with Russell Westbrook. So, again, I'm not liking this situation at all. I am not a fan of it. I believe the New York Knicks should definitely just go after Chris Paul. It makes a lot more sense in my opinion. Not only do you get Chris Paul, but you can bring in Danilo Gallinari, you know, DeMar DeRozan, and Carmelo Anthony, who are pretty much package deals with Chris Paul at this point because they all will follow him. They all want to play with Chris Paul. So many players have talked about it. I haven't really, you know, seen any reports of any players potentially wanting to play with Russell Westbrook on a different team besides maybe Kawhi Leonard. I have heard Kawhi is pretty interested in potentially playing with Russell Westbrook. Again, that would be on the Clippers, and of course that wouldn't help the Knicks out at all. You know, Kawhi Leonard is already a contracted player. He's already playing for the Los Angeles Clippers. He's not going to be going to the New York Knicks. So again, I don't really know how many players out there would want to partner up with Russell Westbrook on the New York Knicks. I can understand the frustration on some players maybe not wanting to potentially play with him. A lot of people are frustrated on Russell Westbrook in general. I just think this is kind of turning into a disaster situation, and again, I'm not too sure what team Russ is going to end up at because I don't feel like he's really makes too much sense to the Knicks. The Clippers would be okay, but I'm not too sure about that one. I do feel like the Orlando Magic would actually be pretty cool. I'm not going to lie. I feel like that would be a pretty cool team because they've already got heaps of role players and a borderline all-star player in, you know, again, Vucevic. And of course, they've been rumored to be going after DeMar DeRozan, etc. So, again, a team of maybe, even though Jonathan Isaac's injured, but when he's fit eventually, a team of Russell Westbrook at point guard, Evan Fournier at shooting guard, DeMar DeRozan at small forward, Jonathan Isaac at power forward, and Vucevic at center, with players like Michael Carter-Williams, etc. coming off the bench. That could definitely be like a 4th or 5th seed in the East, and I feel like that would definitely be a very interesting team to kind of see. And I'd probably rather see that than maybe Russell Westbrook on the New York Knicks. I just feel like it doesn't make too much sense. And again, as I've said throughout this video, I feel like they should be going after Chris Paul. But anyway, I want to thank you guys so much for watching this video. Make sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel. And don't forget to comment in the comment section down below. What are your thoughts and opinions on this? Do you guys think the New York Knicks should go after Russell Westbrook? Do you guys think they shouldn't? Again, I definitely really like to know all of your thoughts and opinions on this down below. But of course, don't forget to subscribe to my gaming channel and my IRL/vlogging channel. Don't forget to check out my podcast as well if you haven't already. Links for them will all be in the description down below. But as I was saying, I have to thank you guys so much for watching this video. Make sure to leave a like, subscribe, and comment. And I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.